Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squad for boxing news and views from around the internet. The juggernaut Joe Joyce is teaming up with Frank Warren. He will now be co-promoted by Warren's Queensberry Promotions and fighting on BT Sport. Joe Joyce confirmed the arrangement on his social media channels on Twitter, saying, see here on screen, big news, hashtag the juggernaut is heading to at BT Sport. I have been craving the big fights and at Frank Warren TV is definitely the man to deliver. I want to thank my team at SJam Boxing, that's Sam Jones, for making this happen. Thanks always for the support, hashtag the juggernaut. And Frank Warren on his Twitter feed, and this is from a press conference, you look at Daniel Dubois, Joe Joyce and Nathan Gorman, so it's a fantastic lineup of heavyweights we have on BT Sport. Another one, Sam Jones, with Frank guiding Joe in the UK. This is going to be massive for Joe's career. Joe Joyce, I'm on the May 18th show at Stevenage with Billy Joe Saunders, and I can't wait to show everyone what I can do, and I'll be putting on a good show. So already his first fight is confirmed under Frank Warren. He will be fighting on the May 18th card. That is the world title fight that Saunders is in. Another one here, Joe Joyce, 3 or 4 more fights. I'll be ready to take on the main guys in the division. Actually, that's a bit of a curious statement because his manager, Sam Jones, had been offering him up to face Anthony Joshua now. So, sometimes some of these things don't quite add up. Some of the statements, they do contradict each other because you might remember Abel Sanchez said he's not ready to face Luis Ortiz, although Sam Jones had said all manner of things to the contrary. But as we do know, Joe Joyce and Daniel Dubois, they look set to fight in the next few months potentially with the vacant British heavyweight title up for grabs, and there has been an agreement for those two to fight. But what we're going to do now is go on to the official press release from frankwarren.com. Joe Joyce joins up with Frank Warren. So Hall of Fame promoter Frank Warren is delighted to welcome unbeaten heavyweight and Olympic silver medalist Joe Joyce to Queensberry Promotions stable in a co-promotional arrangement with Ringstar Sports. So Ringstar Sports, the promoter Richard Schaefer, I was wondering if when Joe Joyce came back to the UK, he announced that he was signing on with Adam Booth as his new trainer, leaving Abel Sanchez, and obviously Sanchez just lost Triple G as well. If he was actually going to have a new promoter. That was one of the open questions. If you've watched a couple of recent videos, one only from a number of hours before this video went to up on YouTube, I did ask the question, is Frank Warren going to have some sort of future involvement with Joe Joyce? And when he left Sanchez the other week, that was also a question I asked, because if he's campaigning in the United Kingdom, it would make sense to have a local promoter. Richard Schaefer does operate primarily out of the United States. And obviously when Joyce was first in the United Kingdom under David Hay with Richard Schaefer and that Haymaker Ringstar setup, that made sense because Hay was the local man. So having Frank Warren as the local guy guiding his career for the fights that are in the United Kingdom, it makes a lot of sense to me. I did wonder, was he going to be signing up with either Frank Warren or Eddie Hearn, because they are the two that are at the top of the tree in the United Kingdom. And they both have heavyweight stables with, a number of fighters, but more importantly, they've got the TV time for the exposure to build Joyce. So the 33-year-old known as Juggernaut, a mandatory challenger for the EBU European heavyweight title. Okay, we're not going to go through this. We're going to skip down to some of the quotes here. It doesn't matter who it is. Manuel Char, Ajit Kabayal or Daniel Dubois. The Juggernaut plows through them all. I'm delighted to be joining up with Frank and the Queensberry team. I am now in the right place to accelerate my progress and really make my mark on the UK scene, while continuing to press forward towards world titles. Having seen the great job Frank has done with Tyson Fury, I know I'm in the right place. I'm not far away from being in with the top guys in the division, and I know Frank is the man to help guide me to becoming a world champion. Just something I wanted to pick up there, so I'm now in the right place to accelerate my progress and really make my mark on the UK scene. Begs the question, why did he leave about a year ago to campaign in the United States? So he left David Hay. He joins up just under Richard Schaefer, signs on with Al Heyman to be his advisor, joins Abel Sanchez, has a couple of fights in the UK, and now he's back in the United Kingdom full-time. He obviously had that fight back in February with Berman Stavern, but that was on a PBC card on ITV. So it's very interesting after that sort of, are we calling it a sort of failed sort of sojourn to the United States here, that he's come back realizing that he wasn't making the sort of progress that he thought he might make by going to the United States? I mean, it's a question. I'm really looking forward to featuring alongside Billy Joe Saunders at Stevenage FC for my Queensbury promotion debut on May 18th. And then Frank Warren says, in my opinion, we now have the 3 best up-and-coming heavyweights in the world on our books. Well, of course he would say that, with a host of fantastic fights there to be made. I've always rated Joe, and I'm delighted to finally get the chance to sign him up. Joe has impressed in every fight so far in the professional ranks and is only going to get better as he continues to step up the levels. With Joe, Daniel Dubois and Nathan Gorman all moving rapidly in the right direction, the fans can look forward to some massive heavyweight nights in the very near future. Then we get into Richard Schaefer. Just looking at this, it didn't really sort of say anything of note here. And then on to Sam Jones of SJM Boxing, that's Joyce's manager, talking about various options. There are options on the table, and I know Frank will be the man to deliver the big fights. Joe's ultimate goal is to become the world champion, and he will get there, whether that's via Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, or Deontay Wilder, and Frank will be the man to deliver it. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up the statement. So Joe Joyce joining on with Frank Warren in a co-promotional arrangement. And I do wonder, is this just limited to the United Kingdom where he is going to be on BT Sport, and should, through Richard Schaefer, because he's co-promoted with Queensbury here, if Richard Schaefer decides actually we're going to have a fight in the United States, will that be with PBC? So the unanswered question here, which hopefully we'll get some illumination on at some point, is Joe Joyce still being advised by Al Heyman? It's a question. But I do like this for Joe Joyce, just for the fact that if he was coming back to the United Kingdom, if he was just going to be on these ITV cards, which is kind of a burgeoning thing, don't know how many cards there's going to be, how often those will occur, those local cards, the PBC cards. But him being on BT Sport, an established platform for boxing, and having a big audience to perform in front of, if he can get some good fights, this is really good exposure for Joe Joyce. And if they do announce in the next few weeks or months a Daniel Dubois fight for the vacant British heavyweight title, which is mandated, they have reached an agreement according to the British Boxing Board of Control, well, that's the fans are going to be all the better for that. And that really is quite a decent night of boxing with that as sort of headlining the card. There's a lot on the line for both of those fighters in that fight. But I do like this move for Joe Joyce, and it's not completely unexpected. He was coming back to the UK, he changing trainers, and it made logical sense for another move, which could be, either signing with Frank Warren or Eddie Hearn, and he's signed on with Frank Warren. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.